to SI Production. Today we have a very special episode. Who knows what it is? It is Black History Month. And I have with me a Black queen. And together we're going to dive into what it really means to celebrate Black History Month. And I can, in short, like you can see her standing dashling in her BOA, in her black given BOA.
Thank you. I can say the same.
It's the diversity for me.
Period.
Well, anyways, we're going to be having a very important conversation today. And I'm just going to let Rukky to introduce herself. You guys might know her already. And if you don't know her, know that you're in for a treat.
Aw, thank you.
So, who is this beautiful lady by my side?
Well, my name is Oghenerukevwe Erifeta. I'm from Delta State, Nigeria. Grew up in Edo State, Nigeria, Benin City.
My Benin girl.
To be precise. I've been in Canada for 5 years. I came here for school, studying biochemistry, bachelor's. Then I also did a liberal arts diploma as well. So a little bit of humanities, social sciences. But majority of my experience in the workforce and just like in my everyday life has been in humanities and like people service, public service, community service, advocacy, and the rest. Yeah,
That's good. That's good. Because I know you're very good at advocacy. I follow you on Instagram. I know you're very connected to your community, especially the Black community. And I thought about who else to invite to the channel to speak about Black History Month. And it was not even a thinking. There was no other person than our baby here. So I think this is a very important conversation to have, just because like, a lot of us like moved to Canada, like you as well. I moved here 10 years ago as like an immigrant for school, right? And I feel like sometimes like once we come here, there's a tendency to either forget our roots or not just understand where we stand. And even with the Black History Month, a lot of Black people cannot explain what that means.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why I felt like it was very important to have this conversation. So to you, what does Black History Month remind you of, or what is it about?
Let me settle down with this conversation. Black History Month to me is, first of all, a celebration of all that it means to be Black in this world. So whether Africa or our sisters in the Caribbean islands or in the Western world, the US, Europe, and Canada, regardless of where you are in this world, I think it's a celebration of your Blackness, of our Blackness. I think that's what it is. But I also think it is an acknowledgement of our history. There is a lot to be celebrated in our history. The resilience, the richness of our culture that has been erased through history. The resilience to still be here after the history that we faced, whether it be colonialism, slavery, whatever the history is. I think every Black person in this world is a product of resilience. It's a miracle to be existing after everything history has put us through. I think it's a miracle. So yes, but again, like I said earlier, it's also a celebration of everything that we are: the beauty, the innovation, the creativity, the intelligence,
The strength.
The strength is a celebration of everything that we are.
Yeah. And even the community-based solutions, right? I feel like, just even being part of a community that is willing to embrace change and move forward, right? Okay. So what makes Black History Month so special? Like, we're in February. Like, why do we need to celebrate it?
I think for me, it's the community thing that you said. I light up during Black History Month because it just feels so nice to be able to like celebrate ourselves together, to be able to come together, all the events. Like you walk into these events and it's just a lot of Black excellence. It's like a real reminder that Black excellence actually exists. We're actually excellent. When the world tries to like push different kinds of stereotypes and like agendas about our community, but I mean, this should be every day, but during this month, it's the significance of it really just comes up to light. And I think having the opportunity to set aside time to devote it to this celebration is so important. Yes, celebrate it every day, but there's definitely something about devoting time to celebrating it during this month. I mean, is it the shortest month of the year? Yes, but whatever. we can celebrate it.
I know. And I get what you said. Like, it's just like having a birthday.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you don't celebrate yourself every
Yes,
time,
but
but it's just like that birthday. It's just that day
Yeah.
that it has been set aside so that you can just like be extra.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Honestly, I don't trust people that say they don't celebrate birthdays. I don't like what you mean. And see, clearly, I'm the drama. Like, you should be able to like devote time to celebrate yourself, you know. And that I think that's what Black History is. Don't let anybody play in your face and be like, "Is it like don't you celebrate Black History every day?" Yes, and I celebrate it more in Black History Month. Period.
That's a good one. So, what do you think it means to be Black? Like, beyond the struggles we face, like, what do you think is the joy of being Black?
Okay, I will try not to be controversial. I think what it means to be Black in this world is, of course, everything I've said is to continuously have to remind yourself basic human importance and like divine abilities. I think when God created human beings, he was very intentional with it. He created all things, but on the sixth day, he said, "Let me create man in my own image." And I think there's a lot that is lost specifically in the Black community in remembering that we're created in God's image. And that means we're created with the creativity of God. He's gifted us with intelligence beyond other creations, other species. He's gifted us with abilities to like multiply, to be innovative, to be entertaining, the entertainment industry. Like there's a lot that God has put in us as human beings that we have to be willing to stand in as Black people specifically. I think that's what it means to be Black. There's a space that needs to be filled by every person, every culture, every group on this earth. And as long as each person is not filling up their space, that space is going to be left vacant. And I think to be Black is to stand fully in the space that we're meant to fill. We are very unique, of course, but that unique space was created for us to fill it with our culture, with our beauty, with literally everything that God has put in. I hate to turn it into a church service, but that God has
Girl, we are Christians. We're gonna talk about Jesus no matter what. Can you share a moment in like Black history that has really shaped you? It could be your personal experience, or it could be like someone that has like a celebrity or someone that has gone ahead and you really connect with their story.
I've always been very respectful of history, and the more I exist in this world, the more I have opportunity to learn about the history of this world, but also the history of my community, specifically Black and Nigerian and African. Coming into the fullness of, I don't even think I have the ability to learn the fullness of the history of Nigerian and African people or the history of Black people in general, just because of who's telling the story. As long as we're not the ones telling the story, as long as the lion is not able to talk, the hunter will still tell the story to his favor, right? I think that's an African proverb as well. But from the story that we've been told, that I'm able to, pursue and read in the history books, I think understanding the gravity of our history has definitely shaped. It has shaped me into something different from what I was growing up. I think I grew up with a lot of naivety of what we have gone through as a community. And I think coming into the understanding of just our history, it has made me see the world different, but it has also made me understand the resilience of our community. I think it is not taught enough in schools. It is not taught enough as a whole. The folklores, the folk stories that are supposed to be passed on from generation to generation are not passed on enough. Both in Africa and in this part of the world as well. I think our schools in Nigeria are not doing enough to tell us our history. The colonialist history, but even the history before colonialism. I think
who we were before.
Who we were before the white man stepped on our land. Like just the richness of it. There's so much that was lost in that period of colonialism that I feel like I will never have the opportunity to get to know. But from what I have known, I think yes, the resilience of our community, but also the richness of our community. Like we are one heck of a people, and that definitely. I was walking as just like a normal person on this earth, but then I got to learn that, and it's like this is deeper than I thought. I think I started moving a lot differently, not even strategically. I think I move with the history with our history behind me now. I move with an understanding of just who I am in this world because I was able to learn who has come before me. I don't feel like I'm alone in these struggles. I feel like there are people that have come with my same identity that have surpassed the struggles. But apart from the history of colonialism and slavery and all of that, the dark side of history, also the very important good side. Our fingerprint, our handprint on civilization is undeniable.
True.
It is so undeniable. When I still hear these stories of going back to like African queens that protected their cities, their countries, their villages, their tribes with so much greatness and so much strength. And it's like, colonial patriarchal system tries to tell you, oh, you're a woman, you can't be a leader. I was like, no, I remember Queen Jango and how she like protected herself from colonial rule severally. They tried to infiltrate her kingdom severally, and she stood against that. Or like just different kind of ideologies that I try to they try to force on us now. But because I understand that that's new and that's not for me. I mean, it could be for you, but like I know what my people do, and I know what my people do. I know who my people are. So you can't really come to me with that. I know how smart we are. Is it on technology? Read about the innovations, but we really are amazing. Nobody can tell me any different.
And I really like that you touched on those things, because I feel like that is why like people like are easy to assimilate into other cultures, because they're not like proud of who they are, right? That's why you see like people wanting to drop their Black identity and embrace other identities, and you see them struggle because you don't know the uniqueness, the richness of who you are, right? And it's just like even being a believer, being a Christian. Like if you don't know your identity in Christ, you're going to be struggling in this world, like walking without a vision, right? Aimlessly, because you don't understand who you are, right? And the same thing with being Black. So I do like that you connected that piece, like who were we before colonization came, right? And then because I feel like for people to understand like the richness of like Black history is who we were before colonization, what happened during colonization, and then who we became after colonization. Because I feel like if we don't understand that holistic triangle, we will not know who we are and how to move forward in that sense.
I also think we need to change the definition of assimilation. I think what colonial assimilation tries to make the world look like is everybody looks the same. And I mean, we're also in a post-colonial system here in Canada, because colonialism also did happen in CA, and we can see the terrible effects of it. But until we understand that the only way we can live in progress as a society is to ensure that our different identities are protected. Until we see it as a community effort to ensure that our different identities are protected. I feel like true assimilation is ensuring that the beauty of our diversity can be seen. We can look into community and see African, the different First Nations. I don't want to say just indigenous. They're different First Nations. All of them come with different histories, different cultures, different wisdoms.
Very dynamic and diverse in their own way.
Our education has to all reflect that. Has to reflect the wisdoms from these different cultures. Different cultures have understood and have gone through civilization. They have learned from their ancestors. They've learned to do things differently. There's wisdom that each culture has grown up with, I would say, through the years, that we all need to learn from. What this person faced in the Igbo tribe in Nigeria can also benefit, the lessons they learned can benefit the Métis tribe here in First Nations. We are all human beings, and we need to learn from the mistakes that everybody has made and bring it into the educational system and recognize it and appreciate it, and then grow together as a civilization. I think that's the only way that we can truly assimilate. But making everybody look black and white is just is a disservice to the human race.
What in your personal experience has shaped your understanding of Black history? Like when was the moment you sat and I'm like, I am Black and people see the color?
I would say that I have not fully, and I think this is something I can thank being African for. I've not fully understood not being out of place, because of my Blackness. My Blackness doesn't really shout at me. Oh, you're Black. Because I grew up in Nigeria. It wasn't a thing that I grew up identifying. So I don't think I will fully it will fully sit in that, oh, you're different because you're Black, because I didn't grow up with that being ingrained into my And I think, fortunately for the descendants of the enslaved, there's a lot more weight that they have to face, like growing up with a society always telling them not only that you're different, but you're less because you're different.
True.
So there's that. Then I would say coming to Canada, there's definitely been times where I've had to look and I have to look at myself. I'm like, oh, damn, I'm actually a different. I'm actually different. Oh, damn. I think is maybe when someone starts to say my name or like, or just the look in their face, the way they receive me. I'm grateful that I haven't been received as like, oh, you're different, so you're less. But oh, you're different is even like new to me because it's like, oh, the way they receive me is like this person is different from us, like an other, like not part of the community that is not part of the Canadian system. So it's like an other, and I never really felt like an other till I came here. It's like, oh, I'm an other because of my skin. Okay, but also in Nigerian, I've also had to stand out there because then you could say this is the reversal of my blackness shouting at me, because now my Africanness shouts at me because I don't have a historical assimilation into this culture. I'm from the motherland. Like it's very obvious by the way I speak, the way I move. I'm not Black Canadian. I'm African. I'm very strong African. I grew up in Nigeria, so my accent is different. The way I say, in fact, some of the words that I used to use, biscuits and cookies, there's just a lot of small things that just make me feel like, oh, I'm actually I'm an immigrant. Like, and I'm always the immigrant's identity is very strong for me. I would also say there's this one time that I had gone to dinner by myself, and the waiter, he had come, and he's an older guy, and he said, "You have a very unique beauty." I had my afro out that day. I had my afro out, nice dinner dress, and he's like, "Hey, I was like, what does unique beauty mean? What does this mean by unique beauty?" Like, you probably just means you're black. Like, what is like you're pretty, but like you're also different. Like, what kind of pretty is this? Like, I've not seen this kind of pretty before. So I don't know if it's a compliment or it's not a compliment. Maybe he needs to be more exposed to Black beauty.
Or maybe it's a curiosity too.
Maybe it's a curiosity. Because if you actually go into the streets in Canada, you can see a lot of people, Black girls that are so beautiful. Maybe he needs to leave his house more. Yeah. Then as an African, I would say, I think this part is very important for the Africans listening, because I think we're the ones that have to steward the change of this. But it's definitely growing up and not feeling like the standard, and we did talk about this a lot. I think always feeling like there's one Oyibo in the TV that everybody's looking up to, and when you go to a restaurant and there's Oyibo sitting there, the way they treat them, it's like I wish I felt more like the standard in Nigeria. I wish dark skin was more appreciated, because when a Nigerian is telling you're pretty for a dark girl, what the hell? What does that mean? You're in Nigeria, and a Nigerian is telling you, or they tell you you're too dark, stop staying in the sun, or cover yourself. Even in Nigeria, Gonga, everybody is just black the same way. I would still have these very like horrible mindsets of Eurocentric idolism that I don't think it shouldn't exist in Africa. It's really horrible that exists in Africa, because that is where you should feel the most appreciated for your blackness. But I would blame the system. I'll blame mainstream media. I would blame just how colonialism has ingrained Eurocentric like idolism in us, because that is very traumatic to like be treated as slaves in your own land and made to serve a different monarchy in your land is very traumatic. I can understand where the mindset is coming from, but I think as this generation we have to steward the history, yes, but also steward the responsibility of change to do differently.
For sure. Like I know, like you even spoke about being the standard, and when we had that conversation earlier, he actually like had never seen it that way before, because we tend to always compare, so especially as Nigerian African, we tend to compare ourselves with like other people. But it's like in the Nigerian community, you are the standard.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think that was like a light bulb moment for me. That is who you are. Like there's no other standard. Like you're Nigerian, you're black, you're African. Who else would be the standard?
Or like you wear suit for an interview in Nigeria. Somebody else wears like a kaftan up and down, and they say the person that's wearing suits looks cleaner. what are you saying? You need to sit down with yourself for real.
And that's so true. Like, I mean, it's going to be very different, like in Canada for
Yeah.
sure, because like, you know, these are two worlds, you know, like kind of colliding in that sense. That example you gave is so true. Like, you wearing your like native, like they're looking at you and like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's like you're supposed to look more like the white man, and
But like that is your standard.
yeah, like we're supposed to be our standard for real. It's changing a little bit.
It is.
Appreciate the agbada.
I know. Even here now, like you can wear your African print and feel proud of yourself in that sense. I feel like if we keep seeing ourselves more as the standard, it would even follow us to other countries and even wherever we migrate to, because we see ourselves in that uniqueness, right? Yeah.
I think it is important to mention for me that I think other people are of the mind. I don't know whatever mindset other people have, but I am not of the mindset of Black supremacy. I only think it's necessary for us to recognize ourselves as a standard, because that is what God has created us as. You should be yourself first before you're anybody else. Your standard should be the best version of yourself before your standard is the best version of anybody else's culture. Anybody else should be subpar to you. Should be subpar to like your own self. Your being your own self should be your topmost standard, and then you can learn from other people, but you shouldn't try to be other people first before you try to be
learning
yourself.
Should be like an additional knowledge.
Yeah, it should be an additional knowledge
to change who you are, like in that sense, right? Okay. So I like you talked about like mainstream media, because that is our next question. So what do you think is the role of art, which is music, film, literature, play in telling the story of our Black history?
When the Holocaust was happening in Germany, I think one of the people, the communities, the groups that Hitler taught to abolish and erase was the community of artists. And he did that because he recognized that art was an extremely instrumental tool to societal change, but also societal norm. Artists have the ability and opportunity to change the norm of a society. They are so influential. If people can rise up because of art, because of what artists portray, there is creativity is literally divine. It is one of the things that we exemplify in our imagery of God. So I think if not for artists, I don't even think our culture will be as preserved as it is today. Because unfortunately, I think I can say major. One of the major things Africa can boast of today is its entertainment industry. That is one of the places that we are extremely pioneering. I think of undeniably, corruption has eaten into our economics, and the educational system is, as all educational systems are, like educational system everywhere is subpar, but the educational system in Africa, I speak for Africa specifically, is very subpar. It's not doing what it should be doing. It can do a lot better. But our entertainment industry,
I think that's where our richness
is. They're doing their things, from Afrobeats to Apala to they're really portraying what should be portrayed. I think they can do a bigger job with prioritizing African entertainment in Africa. I think we've come a long way. We've come a very long way. Like you can open a TV station in Africa and actually see dark skin. Like in the music videos, you can see dark skinned girls. Like in the past, everybody they be using like when Two-Face did African Queen, I think that was a statement. Like we need to see things like that, but even more. And when Manuel's chocolate camera, that's what we need to be hearing and what we need to be seeing. They don't know how powerful like just their impact on society is just with the mere existence of entertainment media in that way. Then I would say in the Western world is finally taking up its responsibility to the parts they played in history by ensuring diversity is seen on its screens as well. I think it's not enough. They're just starting, but at least they're starting. You can also watch you can open Netflix and watch a movie and at least see maybe one black person out of 100, but
Because
we're going somewhere. We're going
Yeah.
somewhere. We have a lot larger to go, but I think we're going somewhere. But yes, like I was saying, it's very impactful media art, and I love media arts entertainment. Like I'm a singer myself, so I understand like the importance and
Yeah, and I
appreciate
think
it.
that's really like dynamic as well, because like most of the things we learned about our culture or other cultures has been through arts, songs, movies. Like growing up, I knew that okay, yeah, we had people that were Ghanaians, right? But I had never been to Ghana myself. Most of the knowledge or the ideology I have is from screen, music,
or in the books,
movies,
the novels,
or the books, the novels. So I feel like we underestimate the power of like literature, art, you know, like in shaping who we are. And people that are in those spaces need to ensure that they go with that sense of responsibility. You're not there to put whatever on screen, because these are how people, I mean, where did the knowledge of Africans stay in hot houses come from? It was the media that pushed that agenda. Now, at that time, I think it has changed now. But every other person that was not black thought that we live in hot houses.
It has only changed because we have decided to take control of our media. You can say Real Housewives of Lagos. Do you see hot houses in that show? High rises. Look at Lagos now. Look at Abuja. Are you playing? What do you mean? Look at the houses. It's not 2-bedroom apartment like I stay in like a basement place. But in Nigeria, my father say they say they're mansions. I mean, people are. I mean, I'm not saying there are families that are doing well. I think I'm privileged. At least I have seen. I have seen a level of like civilization. Africa is a very civilized place.
We have one of the most educated people.
We do, and not only in Africa, across the world. We're pioneering in education across the world, and media needs to tell that story as well. I think another thing, even like African American history, I did take an African American. I studied a bit of African American history in my liberal arts diploma, and to learn that the enslaved would hide information about their escape in songs, in hairstyles, in and even post African American history, when they were fighting for like the Civil Rights Amendment to change actual policy, and it was journalism. They would literally put the spark revolution through journalism, and those are things that we can't the media cannot be overplayed, cannot be emphasized enough in Black history, but Black revolution and Black excellence, the progress towards Black excellence.
So to move on to like a second to the last question, so is how do you balance honoring the pain and struggles in Black history while celebrating the beauty, triumph, and joy in the Black culture as well? Right? Because I know that we don't, as much as we know that, it's rich and different things, there are people that have really gone through it. And these are why they choose to either neglect their Blackness or choose to just stay away from it, right? Can take a moment of silence for this one.
I think the world tries to act like these things happened a million years ago. It wasn't so far off. The civil rights movement in the US was less than 100 years ago. The 1950s. These people their grandmothers, they're still alive. Bring it to today. When my dad was telling me, as you're going to Canada, just know you have to work twice as hard to be recognized. It's still happening today. And it is happening in the blatant ways where, like, in your office, maybe somebody triggers you, they say something completely out of place. That happens. But also, like, if you try to speak up for yourself, you're seen as an aggressive Black woman. There are a lot of stereotypes about our community that still plague us today. And I don't think it is our job to have to jump through loopholes to like evade those stereotypes. But that is not by the way, but that is one thing. Then I would say that because of how there's also the systemic issues where, of course, marginalized communities not as funded by the government, you have to struggle to like actually get any kind of funding to even go to school. And then when you finally get the degree, they don't really they don't give you the opportunities that they give your peers that have the same degree. There's just a lot of systemic issues that we still face today in this day and time. So when we say like the struggles and the pain, I feel like we tend to look at it as a historical thing. But yet the history is not so far, one, but we're still facing those issues today. A lot of our industrial ownership in Africa, it's not owned by Africans. So who is really controlling the economy? If it's not owned by Africans, where's our money? Where's our resources going to? Or do we want to talk about genocide in Congo, where literal governments, I fail to mention, are investing in actual genocide in Africa? This is today, 2025, February 15th.
Exactly.
This is today. We're facing the issues today. It's nothing. It's not like I'm not. I don't have to balance the history of the past because I'm balancing present day reality. Like I'm entering the world, and these issues are plaguing us today. Or coming here, having to pay $20,000 for international student fees. Meanwhile, this country that I'm coming from is apparently, according to the media, a third world country. If you present it as a third world country, why are you charging times 50 for me to get the same education? But you what do they call it? You run with the tail that people there are poor. Okay, we're so poor and you charge times 10. What is the maths that people are doing? Because I don't know, I don't get it, and I know maths a little bit at least, but this one is not making sense to me. But so I'm not having to balance history because it's very much present day. Then the joys, I think, as somebody in entertainment, again, I think it is so easy to look at like just the beauty, and there's a lot to celebrate in our community. It really does keep me going to like continuously be reminded of how much there is to celebrate within. Is it the fashion? Oh my God, African designers. This is your flowers. I have to give you all your flowers for real. You all are doing the thing. The way they do they cut the ashoke and they create the most mind-blowing pieces.
I know.
Honestly, we're taking it for real. So there's a lot to celebrate. I also really want to thank God that it's not hard to see what to celebrate, because you don't have to look that far to see what to celebrate.
Pull them. They're not far apart.
It's not far. There's a lot to celebrate. So it's not, I think it is a little easier to balance because the joys are very glaring and the struggle is also very apparent. It's in your face. So
wow, I love that. I love that. So our last question. So how do you think we can continue to support Black people, businesses, or our community in general, right? How do you think we can do better, right? Because whether we like it or not, like my pastor will always say, it's not unbelievers that will come and follow the gospel. It's you that will build your church, right? Of course they can support, but because you have that desire, that passion, you have that understanding. So I'm actually a firm believer that for us to see good and significant change is going to be driven by us. So how do you think we can support the movement? How do you think we can support Black businesses, communities, and stuff like that in general?
Make it an individual responsibility to prioritize that. Everybody watching me, if you have $5, make sure you're spending for your community. And the other one, if you understand the importance of giving, God has given you $5. Give one to somebody that He has not yet given. Invest, pour back into community as much as you can. And that's money, but there's also time. There's also knowledge, resources. Put people on game. If you know something is happening that can benefit somebody that you know, put them on game. We rise by lifting others. Shout out to the video. Please lift the people around you. Like, I think there's this very weird mentality of tokenism where like, okay, so I think tokenism is giving people opportunities just because they're Black. And that is not really true, because if they give somebody an opportunity, it's not only because they're Black. They've worked like 5 times as hard.
Exactly. They have the qualifications.
They have it overqualified. There's no Black person as a personality higher, because yes, they have the personality, but they also are more qualified than almost every other person that they're working with. Period. But I think don't enjoy being a token. don't enjoy being the only black person in the room. Don't feel favored. That's not favor. They're deceiving you. Put your people, bring them into it will be so hard for you if you're the only black person in the room, if you're only black person on that board, you're only black person doing
you're
well.
Just fighting by yourself.
By yourself. I tell you, and you will pay black tax because you would have to share those resources with everybody else. And it was just for one person. You're splitting it in 10. And because you're splitting it in 10, the entire community remains grounded.
Sure.
But if you're getting the resources for one person, 10 other people are also getting the resources for one person. Now the community is moving up together. You get them? We're able to move up together because we're no longer splitting our one resource into 10 bits, because other communities are not splitting their one resource.
No.
They have times 10, but you have 1/10. So when you're able to like raise other people, never be comfortable with being the only black person in any room. Share those resources as much as you can. And then when you're the person that receives those resources, steward your resources. I feel like I'm opportune. Sorry, my mic. I feel like I'm opportune enough to. I feel very privileged. Personally, we're able to go to school. Have a roof over my head. I'm not in war. I think I have more than a lot of people in the world today can boast of. With these resources that you receive, those are opportunities that you need to steward, basically. If somebody puts you on game, make sure you run with that game. If they pass the baton to you, run with it. Fight for it. Like, don't let it drop. Because there's a lot of people counting on your success.
Sure.
And not just for you to give them handouts, for you to be able to pass that baton to them too, so that they too can run with it. Like there's especially within the black community, we need to understand that every opportunity that we receive, there's a lot of people counting on us to like be able to multiply. The story of the talents in the Bible, when he gives you 8 talents, turn that thing into 16. If he gives you 5, turn that thing into 10. If he gives you 4, don't be the person that hides it and be like, oh, let me keep this talents that God has given me, so that no, run, multiply. Time is ticking. There's an urgency that you need to be able to like steward the opportunities with. Because yes, I'm saying if you have 5, give 1 to somebody else. But you that receives the 1, turn that thing into 5 really quick, and you to give another 1.
And because
we need to run,
and develop ourselves.
We need to run really fast. When my dad was sending me to Canada, remember every time they're like, you have siblings at home, not even siblings, cousins. They will ask you questions. That's what he says. They will ask you, what did you do with the opportunity? They will ask you questions. Your community will ask you questions. If you're the one that has received, your community will ask you questions. So run with it. I would say this.
Do you have any like last minute advice and tips for us?
I would definitely end it on this note. I think as Black people, it is important to prioritize self-care. Self-care is an act of revolution. It's an act of resistance. Take care of yourself. I know I said, of course, definitely prioritize pouring back into your community, prioritize investing in your community, treat your resources as, urgently, and just all of that goodness, but also prioritize pouring into yourself. Make sure you're good. When you had to like, sometimes we think, what have they done for us? It's important that like you don't feel emptied out. Even as people that have been blessed within the community, also ensure that you're doing well. You cannot, the thing of back tax is very important because there's so much in our community that's drawing back on you. Do this, but are you good? Mental health is so important. As a psychologist myself, please don't play. If you need therapy, do it. If you need to listen to a good song, take a day off. Don't play with your days off. Don't overwork yourself for any system. Take care of yourself, okay? You need to exist, you need to be alive to fill up the responsibility that God has given to you. So take care of yourself. I think that's valid.
Wow, beautiful. It's don't remind me. I need to take care of myself.
Yeah, I'm taking yourself.
Oh,
take a day out.
I know, right? True. I know. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. See, there's many more wisdom where this dish is coming out from. She has a YouTube channel. Let me just come and tell you now. So you want to learn more, and I know that you're big on like the community, you're big on academics, you're big on like there's a lot on that channel. So what's your YouTube name or your channel name?
My channel name is just Rukky, Rukky. I would also plug in my Instagram. I have an Instagram for just like my creative outlets, beauty, fashion, lifestyle. But I also have an Instagram for my academia and official work community service. So the official Rukky Erifeta for community service, academia, advocacy, and all of that good stuff. And then for beauty, fashion, and lifestyle, just Rukky Erifeta. So,
I'll plug that on the channel, so don't worry, you have access to all this information. Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much for having
your
me,
wisdom
Stephanie.
with us. I'm so excited. Oh my god, I got so much.
I feel so honored.
I was like, Rukky's coming to the channel.
Honestly, you're really amazing, and I know what you're doing here. Even though you might not understand the impact, it is so important that you're filling this space. We need people like you that are willing to use their platform to like spread important information. You know, not a lot of people do that in the YouTube space. So having educational platform, revolutionary information on your platform is so important. And I just feel so honored that you thought of me to come to bring this. Like, oh my god, thank you. I really, really appreciate the opportunity for this.
For sure, for sure. No, thank you so much. And that'll be the end of the video, guys. As usual, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, support this channel so we can bring more amazing people here. You know?
Subscribe,
and if you have questions, please feel free. Also, if you also want to be on the channel, I do have my Gmail down below as well. Send me an email and let's do something together. I say this channel, if you have a voice, come and share your voice, come and share your knowledge, come and share your wisdom. Without further ado, I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.